In Shakespeare's Macbeth, we watch as the main character rises from military general to the King of Scotland. His rapid ascent accompanied by an equal and opposite decline of his moral compass. The play's arc follows Macbeth's pursuit of power in parallel with the downward spiral of his character. One murder leads to another, which leads to another, so on and so forth. As the corruption occurs, Macbeth's soliloquies become increasingly dramatic and pessimistic, to reflect a soul gradually transitioning into the color of an anti-hero. By the time we get to Act 5, Scene 5, Macbeth's suffering has become intolerable. Haunted by the ghosts of his victims, his enemies closing in on him, and finding out that his wife has just committed suicide, Macbeth delivers one of Shakespeare's most famous speeches. Quote, "Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle, life's but a walking shadow. A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing." End quote. In the monologue, we see a man for whom life has ceased to have meaning. In a paragraph written 400 years ago, we see a songbird for the nihilistic sentiment that pervades today. Life is, quote, "a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing," end quote. Meaningless, meaningless, Ecclesiastes says. Everything is meaningless. In Macbeth, we see the same spiritual exhaustion with daily life alive today. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. Or as the author of Ecclesiastes says, generations come and generations go. All things are wearisome. There is nothing new under the sun. End quote. With the words "out, out, brief candle," Macbeth foreshadows the coming existential philosophers and their belief in the absurdity of life. Kierkegaard, Nietzsche, Camus. Man is nothing but a candle burning in an abyss, here today for no particular reason other than to burn, and gone tomorrow without anything to show for it. But still he must go on. He is but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. He is an actor who plays out the drama and anguish of being human, strutting and fretting for an empty time until he grows silent forever. Reading this soliloquy, we were reminded of two other well-known lines in Shakespeare. The first, which riffs off the theme of man as an actor in a play, comes from As You Like It. Quote, "All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts." End quote. The second, which raises similar existential concerns, comes in Hamlet's question of whether 'tis nobler to be or not to be. End quote. When these parts of Shakespeare's plays get pulled out of the plays and cited outside the story's context, we encounter them with the belief that they reflect something true about the nature of life itself. In the case of Macbeth's soliloquy, we are tempted to read it and think things like, "See, even Shakespeare thought life was meaningless," or, "If Shakespeare thought life is a tale told by an idiot, then maybe I do too." But in my humble opinion, this is not what Shakespeare is saying through Macbeth. What he says through Macbeth is less about the nature of life and existence itself, and more about the mindset of someone who has attempted to take life into their own hands and is now suffering the consequences of their own actions. When Macbeth says that life is a tale told by an idiot, is because he is the idiot trying to tell the tale. The spiritual malaise and feelings of meaningless consuming Macbeth have nothing to do with the author outside time and everything to do with his own choices and corruption of character. The author outside time. When we look at Macbeth, we see a man who has done his level best to make for himself a meaningful life, taking matters into his own hands and disregarding the rules of morality that transcend him. He defies the natural law and order of things and then has the audacity to blame the author. Except the irony is that Macbeth is in the situation he is in precisely because he has attempted to supplant the author outside time. Macbeth has made himself the author instead of an actor. Here, I am reminded of an essay by C.S. Lewis, written shortly after the Russians had reached space and declared it empty of God. In it, Lewis likens our relationship with God to the relationship between author and actor. Quote, "The Russians, I am told, report that they have found no God in outer space. But looking for God or heaven by exploring space is like reading or seeing all of Shakespeare's plays in the hope that you will find Shakespeare as one of the characters or Stratford as one of the places. Shakespeare is in one sense present at every moment in every play, but he is never present in the same way as Falstaff or Lady Macbeth, nor is he diffused through the play like a gas. Now, of course, this is only an analogy. I'm not suggesting at all that the existence of God is as easily established as the existence of Shakespeare. My point is that if God does exist, he is related to the universe more as an author is related to a play than as one object in the universe is related to another. If God created the universe, he created space-time, which is to the universe as the meter is to the poem or the key is to music. To look for him as one item within the framework which he himself invented is nonsensical. How then, it may be asked, can we either reach or avoid him? The avoiding in our own time and place is extremely easy. Avoid silence, avoid solitude, avoid any train of thought that leads off the beaten track. Concentrate on money, sex, status, health, and above all, your own grievances. Keep the radio on, live in a crowd, use plenty of sedation. If you must read books, select them very carefully, but you'd be safer to stick to the papers. You'll find the advertisements helpful, especially those with the sexy or snobbish appeal. About the reaching, I am a far less reliable guide. This is because I never had the experience of looking for God. It was the other way around. He was the hunter, or so it seemed to me, and I was the deer. Space travel really has nothing to do with the matter. To some, God is discoverable everywhere, to others nowhere. Those who do not find him on Earth are unlikely to find him in space. Hang it all, we're in space already. Every year we go a huge circular tour in space. But send a saint up in a spaceship and he'll find God in space as he found God on Earth. Much depends on the seeing eye." End quote. Perhaps it can also be a tale told by a genius, signifying everything. Perhaps that is the beauty of the author outside time, that he has created the canvas and conditions for us to choose for ourselves how we play the roles assigned to us. Quote, "Remember that you are an actor in a drama of such sort as the author chooses. If short, then in a short one. If long, then in a long one. If it be his pleasure that you should enact a poor man, or a cripple, or a ruler, or a private citizen, see that you act it well, for this is your business, to act well the given part, but to choose it belongs to another." Epictetus.